What do people pleasing and the history of the patriarchy have in common? More than you'd think. Stay with me, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm a chronic illness researcher, and a lot of my work lives right at the crossroads of health, emotion, and history. And if you've been following my content on people pleasing, emotional suppression, or rejection sensitivity, today I want to zoom way out. Because those patterns don't just pop up in isolation. They're part of a much bigger story, one that runs through our nervous systems, our conditioning, and even the social systems that we've inherited. And if it sounds like a lot, I'm going to break it down piece by piece, and you can take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So at its most basic, your nervous system is a decision maker. Think of the very first cells of life. They had one job: move towards what feels safe and nourishing, move away from what feels threatening. That binary, safe or unsafe, is still the foundation of every human nervous system today. So then we fast forward through evolution, and our nervous systems got a little more complex. So we developed memory, learning, social wiring, but at the core, it's still about safety and survival. Now here's the kicker. Your nervous system doesn't only learn from your direct experience, it also learns from the world around you, the systems, the culture, and the patterns that you were born into. Which brings us to a heated word, the patriarchy. When I say patriarchy, I don't mean all men everywhere right now. I mean the system that was set up in ancient times, literally thousands of years ago, by men of that time for that time. Their priority then was survival, resource protection, lineage, and control. And in that world, it made sense to build roles that kept men in power and women in support. So what version of femininity did the system promote? Agreeable, self-sacrificing, contained, a woman who didn't rock the boat. And the version of masculinity did it promote? Provider, stoic, dominant, a man who didn't show weakness. Now, that script worked for that moment in history, but it wasn't built with today in mind. Here's why that matters. When we talk about people-pleasing, over-functioning, over-controlling, emotional suppression, 9 times out of 10, those aren't just quirks of personality. They are conditioned behaviors, reinforced generation after generation by a system that taught us this is how you stay safe, this is how you stay accepted. So if you've ever wondered, why do I keep apologizing? Why do I swallow my feelings? Why does criticism feel like a full body threat? Part of the answer is your nervous system was trained by an old script. Okay, now let's layer in the body. Your body doesn't just carry those behaviors, it records them. Psychoneuroimmunology, the science that studies how the mind, nervous system, and immune system interact, shows us this clearly. Chronic stress, unspoken emotions, constant self-silencing, these don't just impact mood. They raise inflammation, they dysregulate immunity, and over time, they set the stage for chronic illness. That's why in my research, I put patriarchy, emotional suppression, and chronic illness in the same conversation, because they are the same conversation, just written across different systems: history, nervous system, health. And listen, I know that some people have resistance here. Some say, but traditional roles worked. Men were men, women were women, families stayed intact. Here's my response. Yes, those roles provided stability in a context where survival was the priority. But today, we live longer. We know more about health. We value connection and mental well-being alongside food and shelter. And the nervous system that once adapted to survive under patriarchy, it's burning out under the strain of staying small, silent, or unfeeling. So it's not about vilifying men or burning systems down for the sake of it. It's about recognizing that the old script is outdated. And when the script is outdated, the nervous system suffers. Think about it like this. Like, you wouldn't try to run today's apps on a computer from like 1985. The hardware wouldn't support it. In the same way, we can't keep running our lives on nervous system scripts from ancient survival structures. But there's good news. Awareness is already the update. Every time you notice yourself swallowing feelings or bending to please or pause instead of reacting on autopilot, that's a nervous system upgrade. But how does that look in real life, right? It looks like letting your body do what it was designed to do. We don't hold food in when our body wants to digest and release. In the same way, emotions are designed to move through. Suppression creates stagnation in your mood, in health, in relationships. Expression brings the system back into balance. And this isn't about being perfect. It's about tiny openings, micro choices, like a pause before you say yes when you want to say no, or letting yourself name what you're feeling instead of tucking it away. Those tiny rewires, they add up over time, and your nervous system shifts towards resilience, balance, and better health. And here's why all of this matters. When you feel safer inside your own system, you don't just feel better, but the people around you feel it too. Families shift, communities shift, health shifts. That's not theory, that's actually how nervous systems sync. So when I talk about patriarchy, conditioning, chronic illness, all in one breath, it's not because I'm trying to mash topics together, it's because they've always been connected. We just haven't been taught to see it. I'm going to close with this thought. Your body is a beautiful, evolving system, always adapting, always learning, and just like nature itself, it's built to renew if we let it. When you update the old scripts, even in small ways, you give your body and mind permission to come back into balance. And that's the whole point of this conversation, not to shame the past, not to shame yourself, but to remember that the system is always ready to reset. So if you have found this helpful or even just a little thought-provoking, check out some of my other content. I break these big ideas down into smaller bite-sized pieces so that you can keep exploring at your own pace. And if you think that someone you know might need to hear this, share it. Because the more of us who understand how these old scripts play out in our bodies, the more freedom we all have to write something new.